Hello students, I am Isha Medirata. In today's video, we are going to discuss principle of laser, and then we'll be discussing what a semiconductor laser is, how is it constructed, how does it work, and what are its applications. So let's start with principle of laser. So starting with principle of laser, before that I'll just want to brief you about what is laser. So laser is known as a highly coherent light beam which has the property of coherence, which has the property of high directionality, which has the property of high intensity and high monochromaticity. It is a specific process which is achieved with the help of stimulated emission. And what is the full form of laser? Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So starting with the principle of laser, what all are important, what parameters are important for generation of laser? So first thing is active medium. We require an active medium. I would like to give you one or two examples. Suppose I discuss about a ruby laser. So ruby crystal is known as the active medium because we will excite the atoms of ruby to generate laser. Second example I can give you is of a CO2 laser, carbon dioxide laser. Yes, it's a gas laser in which carbon atoms are excited to a certain level and then they emit laser light. So basically first requirement is active medium. Then comes pumping source, which is important for population inversion. So we already have an active medium, but to achieve stimulated emission we should have population inversion. So secondly, for achieving population inversion, the second important thing is requirement of a pumping source. Depending upon the type of active medium, suppose it's a solid medium, generally optical pumping is used. Suppose it's a gaseous medium, generally electrical pumping is used. So once population inversion is achieved with the help of pumping, next comes the optical resonator, which is very, very important for the amplification purpose, right? It's a pair of reflecting surfaces, one having full reflection, one having partial reflection that amplifies the laser beam. And lastly, this will give us a highly intense beam of laser, and the laser beam will come out from the partial reflecting mirror. So these are the four important things, four important parameters which lead to generation of a laser beam. Semiconductor laser is the next topic that I'm going to start today. This is also known as the injection laser diode, or simply you can say diode laser. So semiconductor laser uses semiconductor materials for actual emission of laser light. Let's see what a semiconductor laser is. So semiconductor laser is a specifically fabricated PN junction diode which emits laser light when it is forward biased. So this laser, it uses semiconductor material. So I would say my active medium will be a semiconductor and particularly a PN junction diode. So it uses a PN junction diode which will emit light when it is forward biased. Now we all know that PN junction diode works only in forward bias condition. Only when the PN junction is forward biased, the electrons will recombine with the holes. So in this particular case, what happens? Suppose if one electron recombines with one hole, it generates one photon, right? This is the basic idea I'm giving you about semiconductor laser or a laser diode. Now the principle of semiconductor laser, the basic principle is known as electroluminescence. What is electroluminescence? Electro means the electrical energy, the current we supply, and luminescence means light as output. Clear? So it generates light with the help of electricity. This is the basic principle, the basic term related to semiconductor laser. Now coming on to the working principle. Working principle, just now I mentioned one word, electroluminescence. Let's see what it is. So when a PN junction is forward biased, the electrons from the N region means the N-type semiconductor, and holes from the P region, that is the P-type semiconductor, they cross the junction and recombine with each other. How do we connect a diode in forward bias? The P-type semiconductor is connected to positive of battery, and the n-type semiconductor is connected to the negative of battery. So in this case, what happens? The majority carriers will move towards the junction. So from the n side, the majority carriers are electrons. They will move towards p, and they will recombine with the majority carriers of p, that is holes. Each recombination generates a photon. During this recombination, energy is released in the form of photons. Why do we say energy is released? Because the electrons, with the help of the external battery connected, these electrons gain energy and they cross the junction. So obviously this energy, when these electrons are recombining with the holes, the energy has to be liberated in some form, that is liberated in the form of photons. So this is just an idea of what actually happens. You want to see the animation again, just see. The electron recombines with the hole and gives energy. So electron from conduction band of n-type recombines with hole in the valence band of p-type. So this is basic working principle of a semiconductor laser diode. So what do we need is, we need forward bias of a p-n junction diode. This gives the recombination of electrons and holes releasing photons. The released photons stimulate each other and stimulate electrons and holes to recombine. So these photons, they will, they will initiate the recombination of other electrons and holes. I would say nothing but it plays a role of an optical resonator, and this gives the stimulated emission of a highly intense laser beam. So forward bias is needed first, then comes the recombination of electrons and holes. Once the electrons and holes recombine, more and more stimulated emission will take place and we get a laser beam. Now let us understand the construction of a laser diode. So you can see that the semiconductor material used here is GaAs, gallium arsenide. Gallium arsenide is a direct bandgap semiconductor. Now what do you mean by a direct bandgap semiconductor? See, semiconductors are of two categories if we are discussing the concept related to light. So one type of semiconductors, whenever there is a recombination, they won't emit light. Such examples are silicon, germanium. If you forward bias a silicon diode, you will get current but not light, because it is not the inherent property of silicon. On the other hand, if you use a direct bandgap semiconductor like gallium arsenide, or you have gallium phosphide, or you have gallium arsenide phosphide, aluminium gallium phosphide, such examples, such semiconductors have a tendency to emit photons on recombination. Clear? So the material used in the construction of semiconductor laser is gallium arsenide, which is a DBG, a direct bandgap semiconductor. You can see in the diagram the blue colored GaAs has, in the bracket it's written P, means trivalent impurities are added to make it behave like a P-type, and the orange one, pentavalent impurities are added to make it behave like an N-type semiconductor. And in between, the red color means the junction part represents the active region. Now these two are semiconductors. So what is done is, the upper portion and the lower portion have metal contacts so that you can connect them to a circuitry. You can see that one side is polished partially. So right side in this diagram is partially polished, and that will give emitted laser radiation, and the back side, the left side, is perfectly polished. So this forms your optical resonator. So we have an active region, that is the junction part, the PN junction part. We have a partially polished mirror, and we have a perfect polished mirror, and then we have two metal contacts. So very easy construction of a semiconductor laser. Now let's see the working of semiconductor laser. So how is population inversion achieved? Population inversion is achieved by forward biasing the diode, because only if the diode is forward biased, it can generate electric current. It can lead to recombination. Then comes recombination of electrons and holes result in emission of photons, but this is spontaneous emission. The moment one electron recombines with a hole, photon is emitted. Second recombines, photon is emitted, but all these are spontaneous. We have to convert them into stimulated with the help of optical resonator. Now these spontaneously released photons, they will lead to the stimulated emission of other electrons and holes, giving us more and more recombination, and this is achieved with the help of the polished mirrors. If the current density is increased, the emission becomes more and more coherent and the radiation intensity also increases. So if you are increasing the forward bias, if you are increasing the forward voltage, what happens is the current becomes more and more stronger, giving you a highly intense laser beam. The wavelength of this emitted radiation, it depends upon the concentration of donor and acceptor atoms added. Now donor atoms are added to make GaAs behave like N-type, and acceptor are added to make it behave like a P-type. It also depends upon the energy gap of the semiconductor. We know that Eg is equals to h nu, equation of energy of a photon. It can be written as hc by lambda. H is Planck's constant, c is speed of light, and lambda is the wavelength of radiation. Now we know that the band gap of GaAs, the gallium arsenide semiconductor we use, it has a band gap of 1.44 electron volt. So I can find out lambda using this band gap because I know Planck's constant value and I know the speed of light value. This gives me the equation, this gives me the value of lambda as 8628 angstrom. So this is the wavelength of photons that will be emitted with the help of gallium arsenide laser. And obviously it is only one wavelength photon, so I can say it's a highly monochromatic laser. Now let's discuss some advantages of semiconductor laser. So modulation of output is possible by controlling the junction current, easy to control. It is small, compact, and has a higher efficiency. It just needs a simple diode, that's it, and forward biasing. Fabrication is also simple, and you get continuous output. Just keep the circuit on. Continuously there will be recombination and generation of photons. Power consumption is comparatively less. Moving on to some disadvantages of the semiconductor diode or the laser diode. Output is in the form of highly diverged beam. It is, compared to the other forms of laser, it is less converged. It is a highly diverged beam. Threshold current density is also very large, and monochromaticity and coherence is poor as compared to other lasers. Other lasers, like the common lasers used in industries, are carbon dioxide laser, NdYAG laser, helium neon laser. So compared to these type of lasers, it is less monochromatic. And the temperature definitely affects the output. Why? Because it uses semiconducting material, which is temperature dependent. Now I'll discuss some applications of the semiconductor laser diode. So it is used in long haul communication. Long haul communication means thousands of kilometers, where fiber optic cables are used. So in this fiber optic cables, light is sent as a signal. So to convert the electrical signal into light, so this light source used is actually a laser. Next we have optical communication in PCs and mobile phones. It is also used in laser printers, and it is used in laser microscopes, the line lasers, which are used in defense. These are some of the applications of laser diode. So today we have discussed what is the principle of laser, what all are the parameters important for generation of laser. Then we have seen what a semiconductor laser is, how is it constructed, how does it work. We have also seen some advantages, disadvantages, and applications of a laser diode. Hope you have understood all the topics I discussed today very well. Thank you.